Don't lose your way. Your mind, we have to be as one.
What is up, you guys? Or Storm here, coming at you guys with another new deck profile today. Today I will be dusting off my Herald Cyber Angel list. Now the main reason I'm dusting this off is a couple reasons. One, we got the new Ritual spell card in Raging Tempest. It's actually really solid as a one of. We did get Natasha as well, but she doesn't really. Natasha's a good card, like in some builds. Like I've seen some cute builds where you can use Natasha and Sea Monster Theseus to make Ultimate Zulkin. Would be pretty decent. Natasha's actually not bad in like the high card erratic variants, but I feel like this build with Herald is probably what I'm going to be going with into Link formats. I feel like Herald is a pretty decent deck under Link summoning. Most of the time you're not going to summon multiples from the extra deck. So yeah. So with all that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get to the deck profile. We'll talk about some of my changes. So first off, we have of course it's Herald. So we have the 3 copies of Herald of Perfection. Pretty much the heart and soul of the deck, one of the reasons the deck even functions. Herald's a really strong card. Being able to just negate anything as long as you have fairy monsters in hand is always going to be strong. Its ritual spell is also really good, but we'll kind of get to that later. Yeah, we have probably the main reason this deck's even playable, which is the 3 copies of Cyber Angel Ben 10. Whenever it's distributed for card effects, search a light fairy monster. Basically, this card is one of the reasons the deck's even viable. Is this card? These are just amazing. Then we have the 2 Idatons, and for our last Cyber Angels, we have the 1 Dakini. I did try Vishnu of Rash, the monster we got in Invasion Vengeance, but the problem I had with Rash is that while it's a powerful card, at the same time I just had issues actually summoning it properly. Without cards like in a more Rash is really powerful in a pure variant, but in this one, I feel like this is the best. 2 Idatons is perfect. You don't want to see her too much, but she does allow you to pump up all your ritual monsters, and Dakini is really strong. It's a power play. Being able to just send a monster without targeting is always nice, and she allows you to cycle resources. I don't run Saphira in this version because I just space issues and other cards I'm playing, which you can have other cards, which you have the 1 copy of Necros Unicorn. It's the only Necros card I run along with Kaleidoscope. The main reason Unicorn is in here is because we are in a very extra deck dependent format. Outside of now, we do have Infernoids running around, which did perform very well at the recent YCS. So Unicorn, might come out for Saphira. It really depends on what the format is. But Unicorn's a really strong card. If you drop this and against Zodiacs, there's not a lot they can really do because the minute it hits the board, it turns off Dryden, and it really depends. Obviously, Dimensional Barrier is a card. It's one of the reasons why this deck, I haven't dusted off in a while, but Unicorn is a very, very strong card. I like it a lot. And then for some of the support, of course, the Ritual deck are playing 3 Manjus. Talk too much about that. Then of course, it is Herald, so we are playing the Stick and Chair engine. The main reason this engine, obviously being able to draw 3 cards, pop cards is always nice. And the important thing to remember is we can loot this card like no tomorrow, and especially with the new Ritual spell from Raging Tempest, we can abuse the fact that this Scepter here is in a hard once per turn because you can shuffle these back, then search it again, and there's just so many combos with these cards, and they also allow you to play through Dimensional Barrier, which is one of this deck's greatest weaknesses. So yeah, powerful card, Scepter and Sovereignty. I don't think I would honestly, after Ben 10 came out, I don't think I'd play this deck without that engine. For the last monster, we have the 1 Archlord Christia. Christie's an amazing card. A lot of the times in testing, I found that with the new Ritual spell, this is even easier to summon because you can more easily manipulate the number of fairies in your grave. If you happen to have, say, 6 fairies in grave, you can activate the Ritual spell. The new Ritual spell, shuffle 2 back, then drop your Christia. If you have this and Herald out, it's pretty much game over for your opponent. Christie's just an amazing card. Then for the spells, you have of course, you have the 3 copies of Preparation Rites and the 1 Preparation Rites. You run Preparation Rites, the maximum amount Konami will allow you because it's currently limited, but Pre-Prep is still an insane card. Yes, I don't have Saphira in this particular list because of having Unicorn the Kaleidoscope, but I find this is perfect. You want to see Pre-Prep. It's that +1 play. It gets you where you need to go, so you want to see it as much as possible, so you play 3. Then we have the 1 Kaleidoscope for our Unicorn. The important thing to remember is while this isn't searchable off of a lot of you can't search this off of Idatons to see Ritual Summon an Idaton. You can actually search this out and then use like something like a Manju or Manju to actually search out your Unicorn. So yeah, and you know, Herald of Arclight is allowing you to search more cards is always nice. Then we have the 3 Dawn of the Herald for our Herald of Perfection. Great card. You can use this and tribute off your Ben 10 and cycle the Ben 10 right back. It's absolutely amazing. Important thing to remember though, it does require specific levels. Then for the Cyber Angel Ritual, we have the 2 Machine Angel Ritual, and then the new card for Raging Tempest, Absolute Ritual. We all know how good Angel Ritual is, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about this card, and we're going to pick it up so you guys can read it if you guys are unfamiliar. So it says, this card can be used for any summoned Cyber Angel Ritual monster. You can also tribute cards from your hand and or shuffle fairy or word type monsters from your graveyard into the deck to a level equal it. So what this allows the deck to do is you don't have to make Emerald always to cycle back resources. And the really thing I like about this card is how flexible it is. For example, you can tribute a Manju on if you have a Dakini in hand, you activate this. You can shuffle a Herald of Arclight back from your graveyard and also tribute the Manju on your field. It's either or, so that's really, really nice. Like I said earlier, it allows you to manipulate the levels for your Arclord Christia if you do happen to have too many fairies in grave. You play 1 because it's easily searchable and you don't want to ever see this in multiples. Machine Angel Ritual is still really strong as well because allowing you to protect your Herald Perfection is nice. And now that we have this, banishing these is not as big of a deal. Really strong, like a lot. Then we have the 3 copies of Ritual Sanctuary along with the 3 copies of Terraforming. The main reason I run the 3 Terraforming is because you need to see Ritual Sanctuary in your opening hand. This card can fix your bad hands, make your bad hand and your good hands better, and you want to see this card as often as possible. And because you can pitch spell cards with Ritual Sanctuary, drawing the extra Terraformings is no big deal. So you allow, basically, if you have a Terraforming and extra spell cards in hand, you can get Terraforming on its own, puts a spell cards in the graveyard to set up your Sanctuary's grave effect to bring back your Scepters or any other fairies. Really strong. I like it a lot. I don't think I would play those ratios any differently. And for the last 3 spell cards, we have these 2 Instant Fusions, 1 Soul Charge. Soul Charge is obviously really powerful in this deck because you can loot back your Scepters and do all the stuff again. But Instant Fusion went to 2 because we have the new Ritual spell, so you can actually shuffle back your Norden with the new Ritual spell and bring it back. And oftentimes I find Norden is just so good in this deck that you kind of want to have the multiples here. So we'll go ahead and get to the extra deck. As far as siding, if you are playing this deck, you probably want to side deck something, cards that can deal with Dimensional Barrier like Night Beam. Yeah, maybe some anti-kaiju techs as well. But anyway, so we'll go ahead and get to that. So for our Scepter and Sovereignty targets, we have the 1 Ouroboros and the 1 Deltaros. Ouroboros is better going first because you can loot cards from your hand. Even though I'm not playing Saphira, being able to knock a card in your opponent's hand is always strong. Deltaros is better going second because you can pop cards, and being able to hit the board, pop a card with Scepter, then pop another card. It allows you to clear so much from your opponent, especially if you're dealing with something like Dimensional Barrier. It's pretty strong. I like it a lot. I feel like these combo really well together. Then we have the 1 Diamond. Diamond is actually, it depends on the, Diamond is actually really good against some decks like Infernoids that love to mill. The important thing to remember is you cannot, you have to make this in a situation where you're going seconds. Typically what you'll do is you clear your opponent's board with your Deltaros and then drop this on them. And a lot of decks really struggle if they can't mill resources. It also negates Dark Monster Deck. The main thing is decks cannot send cards from the deck to graveyard while this is out. Really strong. You can get it out on top of your Deltaros. For the rank 6s, we have the 1 Beatrice, the 1 M7, the 1 Utopia Beyond. When I did take this to regionals, none of these 3 came up, but Beatrice is good, mainly because you can get that extra fairy you need in your graveyard for your Christia. Sets up combos really well with the field spell, but most of the time without this, it doesn't come up as much as I like. M7's, always been a Herald staple. Being able to recycle fairies from your graveyard is always nice. You can also recycle hand traps if you do play them, like Effect Veiler, etc. Beyond is really good, allowing you to push damage, and it does not target, so it bypasses a lot of those annoying monsters such as Chaos Max. For some of the rank 4s, of course, it's Herald, so we have the little fairy cheer girl here. One of the best combos in Instant Fusion is you make this Norden, grab something back, make this, draw more cards. Drawing cards is always good, and she's at 1900, so she allows you, it's not bad stat-wise, pretty strong card. They're the 1 Dweller. Graveyard decks aren't quite as relevant, and Infernoids do, but Herald has a lot of trouble dealing with decks like Burning Abyss, other decks that just have lots of graveyard effects. that's where this comes in. It's also pretty decent against the new True King deck that's coming out because they won't get any of their effects in graveyard if you Dweller them, so it's pretty powerful. We have the one Emerald, pretty much a staple in most of my rank 4 decks, but in this deck you can recycle back monsters. Is pretty important for getting your keeping your grind game going. The one Castell's Love, Castell's Life. The one Karen Gorgon, I've mentioned this card previously, and I stand by my statement. This card is incredible against Paleozoics and Dryden, and because it's the same theory as like if you're dropping Stardust when the Zoo player has a Dryden out, they're basically forced to either waste their Dryden's activation or just kind of let this hit the board and let it happen. Really strong card, and pretty decent if you combine it with a Herald and maybe like something else. Then we have the Utopia package. Herald's biggest monster, I believe the biggest monster we play in this list, if I'm not mistaken, is the Dakini at 2700. Getting over something like Chaos Max can sometimes be a little problematic, but I feel like these cards are pretty strong. Utopia package will pretty much always be in my Herald extra deck. And for our last two monsters, we have the one Norden for our instant fusion target and the one Herald of Arclight. We send this with Necros Kaleidoscope. Combos really well because you can dump this from the extra deck with your Kaleidoscope, and then on top of that, and then you can search, and Herald will activate to search another card. Norden is obviously amazing, probably going to be banned, but as long as it's legal, we're going to play it in Herald probably until we get to Link format.